America has to start taking black people's lead. Listen, we are not your founding fathers, but we are your trailblazers. We know what we're doing. We will take you to the promised land every time.
If you let blacks get control, everything would change.
Right, welcome back to my YouTube commentary. Thank you so much for tuning in, my family. Welcome back to my channel. And here's where the truth has no filter. You know how you do it. I love you all, and I thank you for standing strong, for staying awake, and refusing to bow to a world that was never built for us. Now, the topic of today is about the black people taking charge in this new world order. We are taking charge. Yeah. There's a new world order is happening, and new world order means shifting of power. There's a new shift is happening. We have global black awakening. Black people are waking up, and empires are falling. So who is coming to take that charge? I bet it's black people coming to take that charge, okay? I'll say this. We are living through one of the most powerful shifts in modern human history. The shift that is happening is most powerful. For centuries, the balance of power sat comfortably in Western territories, in Western heads, sat comfortably in Europe, in America, and their global extension controlled the economy, okay? They controlled the narrative, they controlled the politics, and even the image of what civilization meant. But today, something unexpected or something unexplainable is happening to them. A global rebalancing, a change in consciousness. And guess what? Guess who is in the center of all this? It is black people, it is Africans, it is African Americans, it is Caribbeans, it is Afro-Latinos, all awakening to one truth, that we were never meant to be followers, but we were always the blueprint. Every empire in decline shows similar signs of, like the signs that are today: moral collapse, great vision, greedy, spiritual emptiness. And today, the West is facing exactly those signs. Inflation is rising. Economy is collapsing, racial tension returning like a storm they can't hide, and behind it all, the undeniable rise of black influence from culture all the way to tech to global politics and economic. This is not arrogance, it is awakening. And as black people rise, the system trembles, because for centuries, the world all depended on keeping black people asleep. But right now, it's something different. Let's watch these clips and then we come back with more commentary.
Just put black people in charge. Put us in charge. You ain't got nothing to worry about. We like music. We like, we gonna make movies. Y'all wife, let me tell you something you don't know. Black people love you devils more than anybody. Black people are more loyal to you devils than anybody. Black people fought with their whole heart in every war and conflict that you all have. You mad at white people that love the Jews? I'm mad at black people that love white people.
All right, so we can agree on something. Okay, if you do take over, you can at least let me live, right? I can be one of the homies. I can be the uncle. What would they call it for the white guy?
You look like you can wear a little butler suit.
I get to hang out with the crew a little bit.
A little lemonade.
Yeah.
Tea,
you got some lemonade, sir? I don't want to work the fields.
Man, like the loyalty that black people have had to white people is unmatched in the earth and in any situational scenario. And for that, to go back to your earlier point, look what we got for it. We got the drugs. We got the red line. I'm talking the latest stuff. I'm not even going back all the hundreds of years of madness. Even to this day, look what we're getting out of Donald Trump and the Republicans. All so that the Democrats never get back in power. We got to die in the streets. We got to be attacked by the army. Our Latino brothers and sisters, families got to be ripped apart. You understand? Like, when it comes to advancing America, there's never a measure on what would be done to us. I mean, there are studies where they poured chemicals into the projects of blacks and Latinos, where they've done all kind of, you heard, of course, of the Tuskegee experiment. Yeah. Well, they've been doing them experiments all the way up into the 80s and 90s.
Africa is going to be the strongest continent in the world. When I said that 25 years ago, people were like, you crazy. Okay, it's a natural, if you know anything about business, 2 + 2 = 4, this plus this equals a product. It's inevitable. Watch. And I've already told y'all, it's speeding up now. 6 years, I'm out of here. I am out of here. I am out of here. I'm putting my assets somewhere else and I'm going to buy shit that's real. Buy stuff real. Everybody black at the sound of my voice, you need to prepare to get out of here and raise your kids in Africa. Whatever conflict we got with them, fine. And that's why I say, watch.
I don't think this is impossible, but immediately, if Africa was to unite, like the whole continent was to unite under one flag, immediately on day one, they become one of the world's most powerful nations on day one. They become the youngest, the most resourceful, the largest country by just like square meter. They become the most linguistically diverse nation in the world. A lot of things happen day one. As soon as they sign that and go, you know what? We're all gonna unite under one belt. That's wild to me. Like, that kind of power, I don't think it's impossible either, honestly.
Africa has been the provider. If you look at Europe, Europe cannot survive without Africa. One situation that people don't realize, post-World War, when the US came up with the Marshall Plan, what they don't tell you is that the contribution through exploitation of African minerals was actually the biggest funder of the European Recovery Plan, ERP, aka the Marshall Plan. US contributed $13 billion, which is now present day $175 billion, which, by the way, the American taxpayer must be paid back. Nobody's asking for that money back. But what they don't tell you is that Africa, through exploitation of its resources by the Europeans, was actually a much, much bigger contribution to the European recovery post-World War II. Nobody talks about that. Why does such a continent that did so much to help Europe recover continue to be so poor? Let's be realistic here. Let's not talk about peanuts. Africa does not need the aid. What we need is for those who are exploiting Africa to stop. Africa has everything it needs. If Africa could have contributed as much as it did to the recovery of Europe post-World War II, why wasn't Africa equally developed?
Yes, no, I was actually about to say that, even with the African music, we are killing it right now. And
absolutely.
like I said, even with our African stories, there are so many productions that would come to Africa and, they want to find stories to tell because there's so many different stories. There's so much in the stew. You know what I mean? And Africa is now not the future because it's been the future for a very long time. And I think we need to start seeing it as Africa is now. So when we start seeing that, we start believing it and we just become.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it boldly and out loud. There won't be a large majority of black people attending the planned nationwide protests of the Trump authoritarian regime. There are several reasons why, but I think the top reason is because, simply put, many white and non-black people don't actually want black people to lead a damn thing. Y'all just want us to show up loud, strong, and dependable. You want our bodies on the front lines. You want our voices chanting in the streets. You want our creativity for your posters, our organizing brilliance for your events, our pain to validate your cause, but only if we're mindful of your fragile feelings and your interests first. That ain't leadership, that's labor. And let's be very clear, we see it, we feel it, and we're tired of being used as the moral compass and backbone for every so-called movement while being told to shrink, to soften, to defer, to not make it about race when race is the damn root of the whole thing. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. warned us about white allies in his letter from the Birmingham jail when he said, "I must confess that over the last few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in the stride toward freedom is not the white citizens counselor or the Ku Klux Klanner, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I can't agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically feels he can set the timetable for another man's freedom, who lives by the myth of time, and who constantly advises the Negro to wait until a more convenient season. See the 92%? We've seen this show before. We know how this ends when we fight and die for justice just to be erased from the victory lap. So no, many of us won't be marching in your carefully curated nationwide protest. Not because we don't care, but precisely because we do. We care about not being tokenized. We care about leading our own liberation. And we care about the fact that when Black women speak with fire, some of y'all flinch like we're the problem. Jasmine Crockett, anybody? That's why you're marching now, because you don't listen to Black women. Anybody remember a woman named Kamala Harris? If you're truly an ally, it's time to shut up and listen, not center yourself, not water us down, and definitely not police how we fight for our freedom. We're not here to be your workhorses. We're here to be the damn revolution. So step aside if that's just too much for you.
And unlike many countries in the West, including Britain, Africa is not saddled with debt. The British debt is 87% of the British GDP, while the African debt is only 9% of their GDP. All but 2 countries in Africa could pay off their debt within 1 year. So the potential is already there, and the growth is already beginning. Even now, Africa is the continent in the world with the fastest economic growth. The GDP per capita of sub-Saharan Africa is expected to rise by 800% from 2020 to 2050. Anyone who doubts that Africa can make quick economic progress like this should look at the economic history of the US. In 1977, the US economy was the same size as the African economy is today. And since then, the American economy has grown by a massive $18.419 trillion. And with Africa having more natural resources than the US, its progress in the next 40 years could be even more spectacular. So if you are someone here today who thinks that Africa will never catch up with the rest of the world, I want to say that you will be proved wrong. With its mammoth population, massive potential, and amazing stores of resources, within your lifetime, Africa will become an economic superpower. Thank you.
Hey, beautiful. This message is to my Black sisters. I love all women, but this message is for Black women. Specifically, any Black woman who feels an internal calling to start your own business. Here's the truth. There is a lot of information being kept from us. Information that might empower you, such as that Black women are the country's leading entrepreneurs. The truth is that women own over 12 million of the businesses in this country, and over a third of those businesses are run by Black women. The truth is, Black women are becoming unapologetic about their desires to run their own businesses. And in 2021, we saw a surge of Black women starting 1.5 million businesses in the U.S. This is up 38% from February of 2020. So yes, Black women are the country's leading entrepreneurs, and Black women are the new face for entrepreneurship in this country. If you are a Black woman who has a desire and a calling to start a spiritual business and you need support on that journey, I would love the opportunity to talk to you to see if the services that I provide might be beneficial to you. You can comment in this video or you can send me a private email. The link is in the bio. But I am excited, extremely excited about knowing that we as Black women are now leading the way in entrepreneurship.
Welcome back. Now, I've been saying about the system built on illusion. Illusion of American dream, illusion of economical fit, illusion of civilization, illusion of everything. And the current global state, the current global system, the new world order, the ones bragged about, was never meant to benefit Black people. It was built on the labor of Black people. It was built on the resources from Africa. It was built on top of our souls. It was built from Africa's golds and diamonds to the sugar and cotton that made Europe rich. The system thrived by convincing us that we were powerless as Black people. But power never disappears. It only shifts. And now that shift is back in our head. The illusion they sold to the world of white superiority and Western perfection is cracking. Is no more. You know, their so-called developed world is drowning in debt. The first world countries, their youths have lost their identity. They even don't know their identity, not even losing. They even don't know their identity. Their leaders are no longer inspired. No, their leaders sell fear right now. Meanwhile, African nations are rising. African nations are investing in technology, investing in agriculture, and new alliances that no longer bow to the West. Now, for example, here in Kenya, when you go to Ghana, when you go to Nigeria, South Africa, the streets, or even in Atlanta, on the island of Jamaica, in Haiti, there is one truth that echoes. There is only one truth that echoes. The old world is dying, and the new one is being built by those who were once enslaved. We are taking charges. That is the reality. I don't know if you are seeing it. I don't know if you can feel it, but personally, I can feel that black people are taking charge. Black people are taking leadership. The power is shifting from their powers to us, black people. You know, for a long time, they had psychological warfare against black confidence. And, you know, black people were not confident. We were not confident about ourselves. We didn't love ourselves. There's a number of things was going on in our minds and everything. They call it diversity and inclusion. What they really fear is black unity. They fear our unity right now because unity among black people means an end to control. You know, the system has spent centuries waging psychological warfare. They have spent centuries teaching us to see ourselves as less. That's the reality. They have spent centuries, they have invested to see us black people to hate our own reflection, to doubt our own genius. But every generation births rebels who break that programming today. Those rebels are everywhere. They are online, in boardrooms, in music, and in politics. Okay? When a black creator speaks truth, millions listens right now. When a black musician sings truth, millions listens. When a black entrepreneur launches a business, it inspires thousands more. When a black nation refuses foreign control, like what happened to Burkina Faso, the world is watching. The West panics. A leader like Ibrahim Traore, who rose up, he made the white leaders trembling. They call it radical, but I call it restoration. And that's why you see governments, that's why you see corporations and media, they are trying to reshape the narrative. You know, they can't stop black people from rising, so they pretend to celebrate us while still controlling the platforms. But you can't celebrate the same people you build your empires on exploiting them. No. That's hypocrisy, and the world is waking up to it. Okay? Now, you know, every time we grew up knowing about the American dream, even if we were in the villages, but we knew that one day we have to go to America because of the dream they sold on us, on media, on movies and everything. And that, it is really collapsing. The illusion of white dream, it is collapsing. The idea that white equals wealth or white equals power and order is dying. Because right now, even white people are realizing that the system they build no longer serves them either. They are losing jobs, they are losing homes, they have mental instability because, the empire of greed devours its own children. You know that? The American dream is now the American nightmare. And the same system that enslaved black people is now enslaving everyone through debt, is now enslaving everyone through inflation, is now enslaving everyone through lies. So when they see black people smiling right now, when they see black people building and thriving despite all odds, they panic. Why are they smiling? We are crying. We want them to cry. We want them to. But the more they want black people cry, the more black people are smiling, silent. Right now, they are not protesting. You see? The reason why black people are smiling right now, the reason why black people do not have pressure is because right now we remember who we are. We remember. Okay? And that memory of remembering is so much dangerous to them because when people remember who they are, they become unstoppable. So we are remembering. We are the daughters, we are the kings and queens, and the daughters and sons of great kings and queens. On the other hand, what is putting on pressure, what has made me to say that black people are taking charge is the reimagining of Africa. Okay? Africa re-emerged as center of the world right now. Africa is no longer the third world that they used to tell us. That label was a colonialist tool. They used that label to make Africa look, to diminish Africa. But the truth is, Africa is the first world. Africa is the original source of civilization. Africa is the original source of mathematics, medicine, and human consciousness. So today, the world is turning back to Africa. It's turning back to Africa because of minerals. It's turning back to Africa because of market. It's turning back to Africa because Africa has the youngest generation, its youth. is turning back to Africa because of creativity, and countries knows it. These countries knows it. China knows it, and that's why China is so much into Africa. Russia knows it, and that's why they're bringing BRICS here. Even the West know it. And that's why they rush to sign deals. That's why they fund NGOs and push propaganda, because they know that the moment Africa stands united, game over. Game over. Black people across the world are now reconnecting with Africa. Okay? They're now building bridges through travel, through investment, and the digital platforms. So it is not just tourism right now. It is a repatriation of power, if I may use that word. Repatriation of power. Okay? The African Union, like unions like ECOWAS and even smaller nations, are now renegotiating or negotiating from a position of strength. Okay, and this is not accidental. This is a destiny calling. The land that birthed humanity will also birth a new world order, and this time it will be the world of balance. 2024. Now, when history repeats itself, you know something is happening. Okay, but this time it is repeating itself in reverse. Now, hear this. They have been telling us history repeats itself. That is, we all know history always repeats itself. But they have never imagined that we will be the ones repeating it in reverse. For centuries, Europe colonized Africa. For centuries, America enslaved Africans. For centuries, the West dictated to the world what progress meant. And now the roles are switching. Okay? Because the reason why the roles are switching, the reason why it's a reverse, is because they did it in lies. It wasn't the truth. And everything built on lies will surely collapse, and the truth will surely come out. So when the truth comes out, that is a reverse thing. Look closely right now. Western nations are now the ones begging for resources. They are now the ones borrowing from Africa. Look closely. They are now the ones seeking alliances with the very people they once called inferior. The IMF and World Bank no longer hold the same fear factor they were holding, because Africans are learning the game. We are learning what this IMF means us. We are learning what World Bank is doing to us. So we are reading their contrasts. We are reading the contracts they are bringing to us. We are creating our own development banks. We are learning that aid was never a gift, but it was a leash. They said Africa needed saving, but who is saving who now right now? If it's not our resources, they are going down. Europe is freezing in winter without African gas. America is sinking in trillions of dollars in debt. And meanwhile, Africa is booming with youth, innovation, and natural abundance, because this is what they call it. They call a threat. Okay, but the truth is, it is not a threat. It's a correction, a cosmic correction of power and justice. For generations, they have been controlling what the media is telling us. They have been controlling the microphone. If I say that, they decided which stories about us were told and which stories were buried, were erased. Right now, today, we have the rise of black media. We have independent YouTube channels, independent podcasts, and Pan-African networks. This has flipped that script forever. And now we are telling our own stories. Now we speak for ourselves. Now our words echo louder than their bigger media, So, for example, when a young brother from Lagos or a sister from Atlanta speaks truth to millions online, that is power. When this video that we are sharing, or this video that I'm sharing here, reaches like 100,000 views, that is power. They can't censor all of us. They cannot do that. They can't shadow ban the entire awakening. That's why we are here doing this. Me, I'm doing. The other one is doing. The other one is doing. And this is why we must protect and invest in black-owned media, because it is the battlefield of modern liberation. Wars used to be fought with guns. Now they are being fought with narrative. Every time a black creator exposes lies, uplifts the people. Or every time a black creator exposes lies, we are reclaiming history. We are rewriting humanity. We are rewriting humanity's future, to be precise. We are shaping minds. We are freeing nations. Just one video from a creator, one post, one message at a time. It shapes everything. And that's why they fear platforms like this one. Because we talk here, what we talk here, it is the truth. And the truth spreads faster than their lies can travel. Now, let's talk about money. Money is the real weapon they never wanted us to master. And that's why they never wanted black people to own anything. They never wanted black Americans to own anything. They never shared the wealth to them. They never wanted them to have ancestral, generational wealth. Why? They taught us being a consumer. They taught us just to be a consumer, but they never wanted us to be ownership or to be owners, They wanted us just to buy sneakers, to buy their brands, but they never wanted us to invest in stocks, to buy music, or not media brands. But that's ending. How? It is ending and it is changing. Because black entrepreneurs are now building empires from all over the world. They are now building empires. We are learning that the real revolution is economic, and when the dollar no longer controls our dreams, freedom begins. Diaspora money is fueling African rise right now. Remittance from the diaspora now surpass foreign aid. That means black people across the globe are doing more for Africa than the so-called world powers. You see? Just imagine when that money starts building our own schools here and hospitals and film studios. Imagine when we create a black global market where every product, service, and idea circulates within our own people, our own community before it leaves it. That's power, that's sovereignty, and that's what the new world looks like. It is not charity, but black self-reliance. You see, control was their favorite word, okay? They control over nation, control over economies, control over media, control over education. They even control beauty standards. That you are black, not beautiful. You are black, not beautiful. But now the control is slipping away, and they don't know how to live without it. Western governments are facing protests. Western governments are collapsing. They are lacking trust and internal chaos. Their people are waking up to corruption. Their people are waking up to fake democracy and moral decay. And while they blame immigrants or they blame minority and foreign interference, the real problem is not them. The real problem is within them. The real problem lies within greed, arrogance, and spiritual emptiness. Their power depended on convincing the world that only they could lead. But how do you lead when your own house is burning? But meanwhile, African nations are rising. Some are rising quietly, some are rising boldly. But at the end of the day, all are moving towards independence. They are building their own satellite system. Our nations, we own defense industry. We are going on to our own currencies, you know. And when Africa finally trades with Africa, not Europe or America, the global economy will shake. You hear me? Africa with Africa. And that's why they call it a threat. But you know what? It is the truth. It is the truth, and it is their karma. Now, once upon a time, African nations were told they had no choice but to pick sides. East or West. You remember? Capitalism or communism. But the new generation of African leaders are rewriting that rule book. We are not living on that. We are not choosing side. Today we are seeing what I call Pan-African diplomacy. A form of politics rooted not in submission but in strategic independence. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, nations that were once under France control or French control are saying enough is enough, and they are choosing sovereignty over fear. They are not choosing West. They are not choosing East. They are choosing Africa. Across the continent, others are watching, because every time one African nation breaks free, then others, they are getting inspired and they are like, we want to go. We want to be free. Burkina Faso is free. We want to be free. You see? So, I'll say this. This is not about war. It's about mindset. When leaders realize that the people are the true power, then colonialism will end overnight. And the West can never bribe and awaken people. That's what's always happened. And that's what's happening right now. Not just in Africa, but among black communities worldwide. We are building bridges. We are sharing knowledge. We are uniting through culture and realizing that we don't need permission to lead the world, because we are the world moral compass. And once the truth settles in, empire of lies will collapse. Down. And what is rising right now isn't just economic or political, but even spiritual memory, it's rising. We are remembering who we are before, or who we were before slavery. We are remembering who we were before colonization, before religion was weaponized against us. We are remembering all that. And we are remembering that the spiritual science or the ancient system, the communal values that made Africa the heart of the earth, we are remembering it right now. We are remembering about Kemet, about Kush, about Ashanti to the Zulu. We are remembering that our ancestors ruled not through fear, but through harmony. And that's what scares them most. A people that can balance power with spirit. Western civilization glorifies control, but African civilization glorified balance. That's why black people never revenge. And now the balance returns, and this new world being born will not be ruled by the sword. but it will be ruled by consciousness. It will be ruled by a people who understand that humanity's survival depends on truth and not greed. And when the descendants of the first people rise again, the whole planet will feel the vibration. And the reason why is black people who will rule is because black people have gone through all sorts of shit. And still we embrace everyone, still we love everyone, still we accept everyone. And the only people who can put balance in the world is the people who have gone through the pain and they know how pain is and they know how love is. And those are black people. Until next episode, peace out.